thanks for joining us, everybody. Start with an opening statement from Coach Brennan, and we'll take questions.
All right, good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. Just obviously this past weekend, what an awesome way to send out our seniors to finish our home schedule. I really appreciated the crowd, just the in-game, the highlights that I've seen since, just you can hear the impact the crowd was having on that game. And that was just really, really fun. And the crew, the shirts off crew in the upper deck, this is awesome. I didn't know what it was, and then someone showed it to me on social media. Someone asked me if I'm aware of that. No, I'm not, right? Because I'm into the game. But you could hear them and you could feel that energy. It's really, really a lot of fun. I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about where we're at. We got a lot of respect for Coach Dillingham and the team up north. I think it's one of the best rivalries in college football. It's such a unique thing, just being in the state of Arizona. Just how there's so many kind of families divided by these two schools, or my dad went here, my mom went there, or whatever. So I think it's just a really, really special thing, and we're excited to play. We're on a short week, so we're working our tails off. We had a good start to the week with our practice this morning and meetings this morning, and we're getting excited about this game. I'll take your questions now.
Thank you, Coach. Michael and then Justin.
You have 3 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties after touchdowns. It's probably all.
That's what you got, man? Oh, my good Lord.
All the good stuff. What did you say to the guys about that?
I mean, I can't say publicly what I said to the guys in that moment, but really, to me, we talk about those things a lot, and discipline is so important to this football team. And in those moments, we lost our composure, and that's not okay. I don't care who you are and how you impact our team. Player, coach, nobody is worth 15 yards. And so now the thing that I did I liked how we responded with our kickoff team after those 2 that backed us up and put us at that disadvantaged spot. I was really proud of that. I thought that was a great showing by them. But that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We don't want any part of that. I don't want that to be who we are. Our team knows that. Our players know that. Our coaches know that.
Justin and then David.
So, we saw ASU again against Colorado after your game. What's just a scouting report on that? What do you think of just that challenge and what they present?
No, this team is, obviously they're one of the best teams in the conference. You see how effectively they're running the football right now, how much they've changed with the quarterback and just what that is and what that's become. Finding ways to win football games, finding ways to run the hell out of the football. And so to me, we know rivalry games just have so much to them that make them so fun and exciting. But then when you have 2 teams coming together that are both playing good football, I think it just adds a little extra juice to it.
David and then Troy.
Coach, when you look at Jeff Sims, obviously the quarterback for ASU, he's a running guy? Is he more like a Bear Brockmeyer? Is he more like the kid from Kansas State? What's his style kind of?
I think all those guys are their own. You know what I mean? I think he does throw it well enough, and you see him make throws when he has to. But obviously he's a really athletic guy and a big guy, and they're doing a great job of moving the football. Combination of their run game, how they're blocking it, and how they're moving it with his legs. So obviously that presents a challenge for our defense.
Troy and then Jason.
One of the keys to ASU has been their defensive presence. Just what have you seen on tape, how they're able to execute defensively?
Yeah, and just an incredibly active group, right? They are physical, they play hard. They got multiple players. They got multiple players up front that can get to the quarterback, and they're really sound in the back end. So we know that we're going to play a really good team who's also, without question, our biggest rival. And so that part of it, when you know those things, finding ways to try and attack what they do, and on a short week, everyone's pressing on that because we know how good they are.
Jason and then Brian.
Whether it's as a coach or back when your brother was here, what was your welcome to the rivalry moment?
Well, that's a good question. I did see a couple of my brother's games in person when he was playing here. So that was probably my intro to it. Really, really fun. A bunch of those guys. Salavea was playing, Dave Phipp was playing. Those are really fun memories of that. And just how intense. One of them was up there, and just how intense it was in the stands between the fans from the school up north and our fans. But I think that makes it fun. Just so many people in the state of Arizona went to one school or the other, and that just kind of adds a bunch of fuel to the fire.
Brian and then Jenna.
So you were part of the Civil War at Oregon State, and then I don't know what they call the San Jose Fresno game, but these end of season ones that are very regional and all that. How do you mentioned the house divided and all that? How do you make sure that the players are not getting too emotional about this game when you use the 1 week season?
No, I think that's a fair question, right? Like that's one of the major tricks about it. Is it you want your team to play, right up on the edge, but not off the cliff, right? And so that's something that we have to do a really good job of talking about. And we got to play with composure. We got to play with poise, right? Like it's a big football game, and the most important thing is playing good football. And when you do things that hurt your chances to do that because you can't control yourself, it's unacceptable. It's treason.
Jenna and then Michael.
What do you make of Dalton Johnson just earning Big 12 honors this week?
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, we talked about that a lot on Saturday night. Just how special for that young man, right? Just, like I said on Saturday, one of the players that chose to come back and had lots of people trying to lure him away from Arizona. But, he loves his teammates. He loves the U of A, and he loves Tucson. And to see him play as well as he did in his last home game, just how special is that, right? Just incredible.
Michael and then Justin.
So I know that you have said in the past that decisions on whether players play in a game or who are injured are up to the trainers, not up to you. But I've heard a lot of tales over the years of guys pretty much doing whatever it takes to play in this particular game. Sometimes it was the last game of the season, so there wasn't another game to come. But how do you kind of handle someone who might be on the edge, whether they can play or not? Maybe they come to you and say, "Hey, coach, I really want to play."
I'm not kidding. The medical questions belong to the medical staff. They do not belong to anybody on our coaching staff, ever. Ever. Doctors and trainers make those decisions.
So you've never had a player be like, "Hey, the trainer said I can't play, but I think I can." That doesn't come up. No?
Justin and then David.
And with that, I mean, the injuries that you guys had on the offensive line, how do you think that group has been able to handle that? And what did you make of the guys that were able to step in?
No, it was great. It was great to see Issei play a little bit and Isaac Perez. I thought they went in there and did a good job. I think that's one of those things where when you're putting in a team together, you're always, especially in the offensive and defensive front, you're always trying to build depth in that spot just because those guys take such a pounding. And I thought those guys did a good job when they were in there. I was really excited about it. And I've said it before, I really believe in Josh Oglesby. I think he's an outstanding football coach. And those players love him and they work incredibly hard for him. And I think it showed that they were prepared to play, which was great.
David and then Troy.
Coach, I think you guys ran like a toss counter a couple times in that game. How did you evaluate that? And what's the difference between running it with the toss and just running a simple counter with a hand?
Well, I think that's a play that is part of our offense. You know what I mean? So anytime we can try and dress something up or make it look a little bit different, we like to do that.
Troy and then Jason.
Obviously, you were here when Dick Tomey was around. Just your memories of him entering this week and just the atmosphere it was with him as the head coach and the environment getting ready for Arizona State.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Tomey was one of the best in this rivalry, in terms of his success rate. And it was, he was also, his footprints are all over kind of my thought process, but just really focusing on a 1 week season and how do we play with poise and like the things that are in our control, right? We can't control the crowd or whatever, but like what do we control? And we control how we respond to the moment, how prepared we are going into it. And I think that's where I'm leaning also this week.
Jason and Michael.
I know this game is always a big game, but is there a different feel to it knowing that both teams are good? Like it's not,
I think it makes it more exciting. It certainly makes it more exciting for the fans, knowing that both teams are coming into it playing good football, and I think that's what it should be. You know what I mean? That's what it should be. You want these games to have a big impact. You want these games to be meaningful in the Big 12 conference. And I think that's one of those things that we're excited about this year because it is.
Michael and then Justin.
I think we weren't sure if the defense had actually done the thing where they were holding hands before the snap, and then they actually did do it on one play.
No, I saw it.
It led to a pick six. What did you think of that? And I don't know, does it represent anything just about their unity or?
Yeah, I just think this team is really close, and I think it's really special. And it's not always that way. You know what I mean? And that started in practice, and I think it was because Coach Brengel, I think 2 of the linebackers did it on one play, and so Coach Brengel made a huge point about it in a meeting, right? And then the next practice, all 4 of them did it, and so it was just kind of a fun team thing back and forth, and then it showed up in the game, which I thought was funny. But it as long as it didn't negatively impact the outcome of the play, right? Like that part of it was good. So.
If you were a quarterback and you saw that, like what would you
I don't know like what is happening over there. But this team is special. This team loves each other. This team works for each other. And this team came together. You know, a lot of the guys that chose to come came because how the people that were here and chose to stay treated them when they came on a trip. You know what I mean? Like that, I think that just speaks to the connection these guys have.
Our last 2 will be Justin and then David.
So Matthew Lotto being a Phoenix guy, he was one of a few Apollo guys that were here during the coaching transition. He was the only one that stayed. What do you remember about the conversations that you had with him at that moment? And what do you think just about his progress over the last year or so?
No, it's awesome. I think he's making great progress as a player. And really he was, that transition time was so hectic, right? Because I'm pretty sure it was 19 freshmen had gotten here on a Sunday, and then Coach Fish took the job on the following Saturday, and then I was here on Tuesday. And so it was hectic. I mean, it's just crazy. So just trying to give those guys a chance to get to know me and give them a chance to get to know the coaches that we were bringing in, the staff we were assembling. It was just really hectic, but he's always been a really respectful kid. You know, he's got great parents, and he's just really, you know, I'm excited about his process. And I think that's one of those things that, you know, with this program, we want to do a great job recruiting Arizona kids to the University of Arizona. And then when they're here, we want them to have a good experience, but also really develop as part of being here and being a part of the team. So I think Matt's on a good trajectory that way.
And with that, what do you think was something that kept him here rather than?
Oh, you got to ask him, man. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe it was Big Josh. You know what I mean? Maybe he felt like he could, you know, have a connection to Big Josh. You know, when I took over, I just tried to be really honest with those guys. You know what I mean? Because it was tricky and it was complicated. They were recruited by a different staff, and they had relationships with those staff, so that previous staff. So, you know, this whole new group coming in, like they didn't know us at all, right? So, but you know, we're glad he stayed. I know that.
We'll finish up with David.
Coach, a lot of clubs will do special things for their seniors in these last week of the season, whether that's like a freshman carrying his helmet, or are you doing stuff like that with your club? And also, did Nick Foles speak to you guys prior to this?
He didn't, because he had the Hall of Fame thing on Friday, and so he got in a little bit later. But you know, Nick was down here my first spring, spent 3 days with us. He's an awesome. Obviously, he's a great player. We all know that, all that stuff. But he's really a great person and a great dad and husband. And I want him to come around as much as he's willing. So it was great to see him again and catch up. In terms of the senior stuff, you know, like we let the seniors, a good amount of them, talk to the team. You know, last Friday before the game, or you know, that Friday night in the hotel. You know, but with this short week, I'm leaning more on the guys that played here and were part of this rivalry right on the staff. We've got a bunch of guys, you know, that spilled blood in this game. Like they know exactly what it is when you're talking about Bobby Wade or Joe Salavea or Ronnie Palmer, or, you know, and you know, obviously Chuck and Ricky, and so I think, you know, for us to lean on those guys and let those guys tell the story of what this game means is much more impactful. And because it's a short week, we got everybody just focused hard on the process, and that's what we're leaning on.